I really do think that if you want to get into home brewing, that a strawberry wine would be a great first recipe for you because it's not very complicated and the flavor is so rewarding. Hello everyone, my name's Daniel and welcome to my channel. And as a special guest with me tonight, I have a bottle of homemade strawberry wine. This strawberry wine has been aged for over 6 months, and tonight we're gonna taste it and talk about it. Disclaimer, I am no wine expert. I'm just a guy who likes to use simple recipes to make wine for myself, my friends and family. And my hope in doing all this is to show others just how simple it is so that you can feel confident enough to do it too. So when I'm tasting this wine, I'm not gonna use too many fancy terms because I don't know any fancy terms. I'm gonna use pretty common language. So instead of just talking about it, let's get to pouring, looking at, smelling, and tasting this homemade strawberry wine. So when looking at this wine, I can see that it is fairly clear, which is a great thing because one of the steps in winemaking is to make it clear. You do that by pretty much using gravity to get all the sediment down to the bottom. And then over time, it gets clearer and clearer until it's clear enough to bottle. As far as color goes, it looks like a color that you'd get from making wine out of strawberries. So I personally think this has a very beautiful color. It probably could have become more clear, but I'm generally not too obsessed with it becoming crystal clear. Once I notice that after racking that no more sediment is building up at the bottom of the carboy, I'm generally pretty happy with bottling it, and I never notice that it has any negative effects. So let's go ahead and smell this strawberry wine. So the first things that I generally notice is some acidity in the wine. Smells, there's definitely like the tartness that you get from strawberries in there, but it's not a very immediate fruity smell. Like it's not like you're smelling candy or anything to that effect. One thing that's important, there's no acetone nail polish remover smell. Whenever you get that in a batch of homemade wine, it's generally a pretty bad thing, and it pretty much means that your wine is not going to be very good. So now let's go ahead and taste it, the most important part. I love this strawberry wine. I've had 2 or 3 bottles of it already. I've had a batch that was completely dry because I set some aside to do that. And then this is back sweetened, very lightly back sweetened. The flavor is very pleasant. So if you're not like a super wine connoisseur or whatever, if you ever get a wine that kind of takes you with like a shock, maybe it's too bitter, too tart, too acidic, anything to that extent, and you kind of pucker, this does not have that. This is very gentle on the palate. And where you don't get a very fruity smell, you get a very fruity flavor. No, it's not like you're biting into a strawberry, but it still has a lot of that original strawberry flavor, which is what you want in a strawberry wine. In a blackberry wine, I feel like you lose a lot of that original berry flavor, but you get a lot of other characteristics that come up. Strawberry wine, I feel like you really want to have that strong strawberry flavor, and for this, you absolutely do. For me, this is a dangerous wine because depending on how much sugar you add, you get anywhere from 11 to 14 ABV, and it has such a pleasant, fruity, sweet flavor, but there's no syrupiness to it. It's not overly sweet. It's the perfect amount of sweetness. And it is so easy to drink that I feel like I could drink through this whole bottle, no problem. Not that I'm going to. Like I said, you don't get a whole lot in the bouquet. You get some acidity, some tartness, but the flavor to me is so good. It's more on the subtle side. It's not gonna pack a punch, but it has so many good flavors in it that really makes it an enjoyable wine. So if you want to make your own strawberry wine at home, I'm gonna throw a link down in the description below for how I made this exact strawberry wine. if I was going to do anything different, now that I have a pH meter, I feel like I can go as crazy with throwing in as many berries as I want. I wonder if maybe using 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds of berries maybe isn't enough. I do like the subtle flavor, but if you want a very strong strawberry flavor, I think that you're gonna have to add some more strawberries to it, which, if you don't change the sugar content, is gonna up your ABV as well in the end. So I think next year I may try this same recipe, but use more strawberries as long as the pH stays within the band. I'm glad that you guys could be here while I pour and enjoy a glass of homemade strawberry wine. I can't wait to see what we're making next, but until then, happy brewing.